A secret world hidden across Chapter 5 has been teased since the beginning of the season, and I think I've finally figured out where it is. With official announcements about an upcoming Season OG remake, mysterious screens across the island showing secret locations, and hints to returning characters in our storyline, we have a lot to discuss. So without further ado, consider using my code TLL_TheReaper in the item shop, and let's uncover the secrets of Chapter 5. Since the launch of Chapter 5 a couple months ago, many have begun scouring the island for clues about where the storyline is going to go. But besides a couple Greek ruins and mysterious drawings in Valeria's study, we haven't had much luck. That is, until we began to look closer to the Society's locations on the island. Several screens are scattered across Society-owned POIs, and what they reveal is absolutely mind-blowing for the story. They shuffle between silhouettes of what appears to be Jonesy, Peely, and Dr. Sloan. If you're confused on why Sloan is here, I recommend watching my previous video where I dive into her return and a lot more of our old characters. But coming back to these screens, we find that they show more than just a few familiar faces. Right below the shuffling silhouettes, we see a changing image showing the geography of an unknown location. Based on the fact that these images switch between characters that are currently in Chapter 5, it's safe to assume that these images are actually showing us their locations on the Chapter 5 island. But here's where we run into our first issue. This is a side view, and not only is it a side view, but there's mountains and terrain on both the top side and the bottom side of this landmass. I'm here to tell you that there's actually a flip side to Chapter 5. Before I go much further, let me take you back to the original end event. After the events of Season X swallowed all matter in Reality Zero into a black hole, it was reorganized and spit back out, introducing us to Chapter 2. But come to find out, Chapter 2 was just one side of a massive landmass in space, with Chapter 3 lying directly below. Nearing the end of Chapter 2, our upcoming map was being teased as the flip side, a direct consequence of all matter being sucked into a black hole and shot back out. Blasting back to the present, we find ourselves once again in a temporary black hole during the Big Bang. But while the events of this black hole played out a bit differently, it's still likely that our new map turned into a Chapter 2 style landmass, following Chapter 1 in Season OG. If that is actually the case, that means we've got a flip side on our hands directly below us. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The flip side below us isn't actually a brand new map. Let me explain. After the overwhelming success of traveling back in time and re-experiencing Chapter 1 in Season OG, Fortnite took notice. They even announced on their official Twitter account that due to its support exceeding their expectations, they'd like to bring it back for us. And they're already opening up their 2024 roadmap to get started planning it. This is official confirmation that Season OG will end up returning in some way. And given that we seem to be following a yearly schedule with chapters, which if you aren't familiar with, is Fortnite's plan to have one chapter a year with about 4 seasons each. It looks like they'll be squeezing in another OG season at the end of 2024, similar to how they did a couple months ago in 2023. Hypex also tweeted shortly after the end of Season OG that Fortnite said, "It's just a matter of how and when, and how do we make it so it's not just the same." This implies that the next Season OG may very likely not be in Chapter 1, and what would be next in line? Chapter 2. And what was Chapter 2 a part of? A landmass of 2 islands flipped upside down. And with these screens across the island showing what seems to be geography of 2 islands on top of each other, we could be looking at yet another flip side. Chapter 2 could actually be the other side to our Chapter 5 map, which would be the perfect way to bring Season OG back with a twist and with a different map from our past. So we've covered the screens on the island hinting towards a bottom side of Helios, and we know when and what season it'll likely be shown in. But how exactly would we even get there? Since a Season OG remake is likely closer to the end of the year, there's still a ton of story to play out until then. But if we dig deeper into the hints about where this story seems to be going, we might be able to get a slight idea. Season 2 seems to be themed after Greek mythology. Lots of things seem to be pointing towards this, but to sum it up, the codename for Season 2 is Iga, which is goat in Greek. The island is themed after European cultures, with one train station speaking in Greek, some ancient Greek ruins scattered across the island, a couple leaked effects in the files codenamed Z-Iga and C-Iga, which could be Zeus and Cerberus, 2 figures from Greek mythology, and finally, Valeria's hunt for Pandora's box. If you would like to watch a full video on Valeria and why she's teasing an all-out mythology battle in Season 2, make sure to go check out my Relic video. But circling back to Season 2, it appears that it'll be Greek mythology themed for sure, whether that means actual Fortnite versions of gods and goddesses on the island, or just new characters with powers that get unleashed from Valeria's box. From here, we may see a parallel in style to Chapter 2, Season 2, a season where we took on agents with unique abilities in a war over the island's territory. This time, the underground may rise up up to fight off the society and its band of brand new powerful gods. From here, we could begin to see many season themes we haven't ever seen in Fortnite before, aftermaths of such a powerful war, like a post-apocalyptic season or even a radioactive theme with mutated characters surviving on the wrecked island. Surveys that we've received recently have shown us large batches of outfits that carry similar designs to themes like post-apocalyptic and radioactive. If we do receive seasons like this after Season 2, the Chapter 5 island may be too dangerous to stay on, leading to a full-on retreat to Chapter 2 below us. This would also be the perfect chance to drop a massive reveal that we're back inside of a giant illusion bubble, since that still goes down as one of Epic Games' best designs in the world of Fortnite. Doing something like this would be the perfect way to give Charlie Wen his own chance at designing his own future for Fortnite, as if we went back to Chapter 2, without, of course, scrapping the years of work Donald Mustard has worked so hard to give us. And with that, that's all the evidence we have towards a possible flip side hidden underneath the Chapter 5 island. By the end of the year, we could be paying Chapter 2 another farewell before heading back off into the unknown. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Use my code TLL the Reaper in the item shop if you'd like to support me. Until next time, keep it reapin'. Based on what we discussed earlier in the video, it seems the two most likely locations for the 7 are either the Sideways or the Cube Cradle. A major point to the Sideways theory is the fact that when Amy locked her test rift gate onto the scientist coordinates and sent in objects, it sent back a corrupted version of a teddy bear that looks almost identical to a cube fiend. The Sideways is where the cube monsters are all from, so it being sent back looking like a cube fiend makes it very likely that the location that it went to was the Sideways. Either way, the scientists and the rest of the Chrome 7 have been completely sculpted anew and changed, and they are still alive out there somewhere. All of this could be leading to what could possibly be the biggest reveal of all time. It seems very likely that the 7 have been completely corrupted and transformed by the last reality, and we'll see them the next time we get a visit from this massive faction. When exactly that is, I'm not quite sure, but with how many unsolved mysteries we have with them, their return is inevitable. But while that may explain when we'll see 5 of the 7 back again, what about the Imagined and the Paradigm? Currently, the Imagined is dead. In the final issue of the Zero War comic series, the Imagined jumped into the 0 point with their father Geno to try and take him down. While Geno was able to secretly stitch himself back together atom by atom, the Imagined doesn't look like she was as lucky. We may never see her again. But as for the Paradigm, she is currently MIA. We didn't see any official death from the events of Fracture, but she did give us a farewell speech before Chapter 4 began. Her death is kind of up in the air, with many unsure if she was crushed between landmasses when the Chapter 4 island was forming. Personally, I believe she's alive and she's out there somewhere, but unfortunately, only time will tell. Now that we've covered the 7, it's time to dive into the Imagined Order. The IO fell all the way back in Chapter 3, when the Loopers teamed up with the 7 to form the Resistance, which eventually took down the entire of the Imagined Order in collision. During that event, we watched the mech hand fall onto Sloane's tank, seemingly crushing her and sending her falling down to her doom. But speeding up to Chapter 4 Season 3, Dr. Sloane is revealed to be